Guys, thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. Keep those questions and suggestions coming. I get to them as soon as I possibly can. Now, one of the suggestions I got recently was to do an in-depth look at the mixer. I did look into it in my video for the 6 levels of gain staging, but for this video, we'll start shallow and go deep. Now, some of you may be asking yourself, mixer? What does he mean? And maybe you have never had to use it. Not a problem. If you're interested in finding out what it is and how to use it, stick around. First things first, where is this mixer, right? Click on the gear icon up in the right, which brings you to the user preference panel. Click on mixer down in the lower right corner. Now you're at the output mixer panel. If you've ever had to run sound before, this may look vaguely familiar. Otherwise, it might look a little bit confusing. You've got 6 faders that take up the most real estate, and they're all labeled up at the top. Headphones, output 1, output 2, USB 1/2, USB 3, and USB 4. Each fader controls an output area on the Tone Master Pro. The headphones fader controls the output to the 1/4-inch headphones jack on the back of the Tone Master Pro. The output 1 fader controls the output to the XLR outs and the 1/4-inch outs in the output 1 section on the back of the Tone Master Pro. The output 2 fader controls the output to the 1/4-inch outs in the output 2 section on the back of the Tone Master Pro. The USB 1 and 2 fader controls the channel 1 and channel 2 output to the USB jack on the back of the Tone Master Pro. USB 1 and 2 have the same stereo output as the processed instrument channel, the mic line channel, or both when a dual channel signal path is used. The USB 3 fader controls the dry instrument channel output to the USB jack on the back of the Tone Master Pro. The USB 4 fader controls the dry mic/line channel output to the USB jack on the back of the Tone Master Pro. Headphones, output 1 and output 2 each have a blue master label. What's that for? Well, the blue master means that the master volume control on the Tone Master Pro is controlling these 3 output areas. If you turn the master volume control up or down, these 3 faders will all move together. Now here's the first tip or trick about the mixer. If you click on any one of the blue master labels, it turns gray. That means that the master volume control is not controlling any of the faders that have a grayed out master label. So for example, if you want to leave your headphones at a constant level, click on the headphones blue master label, and now the only way to change headphones level is with the fader on the output mixer. You can turn the master volume control up or down, and it won't affect the headphones output. And for you gigging guys, would you like the sound tech to be your best friend? Use the output 1 XLR outs to go to your front of hall sound system. Click on the blue master for the output 1 fader so that it gets grayed out, and now push the output 1 fader all the way up. You can use the 1/4-inch output 2 jacks to go to your onstage amp or FR/FR, and you can use the master volume control to adjust your level on stage without affecting the house mix at all. Believe me, your sound tech will love you. So now you should be able to see that the blue master label is actually an on-off switch. You can use the master volume control to control all 3 of those signals, or 2, or 1, or even none, if you have your Tone Master Pro on the floor and don't want to mess with it. Set it, forget it, and get on with the show. So why did Fender put 2 output sections on the Tone Master Pro? Well, like the SoundTech example that I just mentioned, you can send one line level stereo signal to the mixing board using the output 1 XLR outs, and another stereo signal to your onstage amp or FR/FR using the output 2 1/4-inch outs. And what about if you like the sound of your trusty old onstage amp and cab? You want to send a steady line level signal to the front of house that includes an amp and cab along with the effects, but you just want to send the effects to your onstage amp and cab. Let's look at a preset that I made that could work in that situation. This preset uses the instrument split signal path. The top path is for your front of house sound tech, and it includes the sustain pedal, the Nashville overdrive pedal, and a twin reverb amp. The bottom path is for your onstage amp and only has the sustain and Nashville overdrive pedals. Okay, but how do we send the top path just to the front of hall and the bottom path just to your onstage amp? Click on the output box at either end of the two signal paths. It doesn't matter which one you choose. Now you're at the output assign panel. Click on the output 2 button in the upper path, and it turns gray and says off. That means that the upper path will not be going to the output 2 outs. Now click on the output 1 button on the lower path, and it turns gray and says off. That means the lower path will not be going to the output 1 outs. Now this should make things a lot easier for you guys that want to use your onstage amp. And now you can go back to the output mixer and click on the blue master for the output 1 fader so that it gets grayed out. Push the output 1 fader all the way up, and you can adjust the level of the signal going into your onstage amp using the master volume control without affecting the front of hall signal at all. Okay, so now what about the last 3 faders, the USB ones? To the best of my knowledge, those are only used for recording purposes, using a DAW installed on your computer, a tablet, or even a phone. Most folks would use USB 1 and 2 because that mimics the processed stereo sound coming out of your Tone Master Pro, regardless if you're using the instrument input, the mic line input, or both inputs. In my opinion, it's best to keep that fader all the way up so that your DAW gets a good, strong signal. If you're interested in doing reamping, you'd use the USB 3 fader to send a dry instrument signal to your DAW and the USB 4 fader to send a dry mic/line input signal to your DAW. Again, it's best to keep those faders all the way up so that your DAW or digital audio workstation gets a good strong signal. Okay, that takes care of the faders, but what's all the rest of the stuff at the bottom of the output mixer? Well, under the first 4 faders, you'll find an aux button and a button that has some kind of strange looking antenna on it. The aux button turns on the signal from the 1/8" aux-in jack on the back of the Tone Master Pro. So if, for example, your phone still has an 1/8" headphone jack, you could use an 1/8" stereo cable to connect your phone to the Tone Master Pro, turn aux on, and then you could play backing tracks on it while you wail away. You could even set it up so that your guitar is using output 1 and your aux input is using output 2, allowing you to send your guitar signal to an amp and your backing tracks to the PA. Oh no, your phone doesn't have a headphone jack? Does it have Bluetooth? Well, you can pair your phone with the Tone Master Pro, and then you'd click on one or more of the antenna buttons underneath those 4 faders to get your phone's input going through the Tone Master Pro. The button will turn blue when you turn it on. Okay, now we get to the last line with all of the M and S buttons. What in the world is that? Well, M means mute and S means solo, and there's a pair of those for each fader. When the M is chosen, that particular output section gets muted. When the S is chosen, it mutes all of the other output sections except for the one that you have soloed. So how can you use this? Well, let's just say you're doing sound check. Your sound tech is trying to get everything right. You could mute the output to your onstage amp so that only the front of house is getting signal. Conversely, you could solo output 1 going to front of house. They both accomplish the same thing unless you're also using your headphone output. But for the sake of this example, we're going to assume that headphones aren't being used. And when your sound tech is done with you, you could mute output 1 so that you could dial in your onstage amp without going through the front of house system. Or you could solo output 2 going to your onstage amp. Again, it accomplishes the same thing. So that's it. Mixer from the top on down. So what do you think, guys? Does the mixer look any more attractive to you now? Or do you still just need to use the master volume control? Let me know how you use it, or if you don't need to use it. I'm curious to see how different people use things like this. Now this Friday I will have all new content, and you do not want to miss that. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. All right guys, have a great week, and I will be talking to you again on Friday.